Can we put up? Whoa, can we put up the furnace diagram? So if you look up on the big screen, you'll see where that door is closed, the square hole in the steel wall and door closed? That's a glass furnace. We have another one on the other side where Gabe is in the bright blue shirt. So behind that door is a big ceramic tank. In that ceramic tank is 1,000 pounds of molten glass. When we keep the glass at 2100 degrees, and at that temperature, the glass is like honey. So it's like a big giant crock pot full of honey. We want to get it out to make stuff. We take one of those steel pipes and we dip it into the molten glass like you dip one of those wooden honey dippers into a jar of honey. A little bit of the glass sticks to the end of the pipe. The pipe is hollow, so when you blow, it blows up like a balloon. He said, so that tray has powdered colored glass in it. So he's rolling the glass from our furnace. That's one of the ways we do. So for this, so all the glass that's in our furnaces is clear, has no color. So what we do is we buy colored glass in various forms and melt it onto the clear glass. So one of the ways we do that is rolling it in that powdered colored glass. Okay. There is no particular amount of time. It's kind of like learning an instrument. Like, how long does it take to play piano? There you go. So, um, yeah, these guys are all professionals. Gabe, man with light blue shirt, he's got 21 years, a glass blown under his belt. Tall guy in the dark shirt, Ben, he's got 25 years. Sarah, 18. Sayuri, I think 11 or 12. So we're going to blow the glass into a mold called a pineapple mold. Can we put up the pineapple mold picture? So if you look up on the big screen, that's the kind of mold that he used. And what that does is it gives us this diamond texture. So it doesn't give us the shape of the object, it just gives us this diamond pattern on the surface. Yep. It's like blowing up a balloon. It's a team sport. Um, it is physically possible to blow glass by yourself, but it's very limited. It works much better if you do it in a team. So we want this to be a little bit of a flattened shape. So we're going to give it a squeeze. Those black pads in his hand are made out of cork, like cork in a wine bottle. When we squeeze the glass with the cork pads, we can shape it without leaving any marks. So when we heat up the glass, it only stays soft for a little while. So, yeah, so he heats it up, gets soft, he'll do a little shaping, and then it starts to get stiff again. Let's go back to the round oven, and that's called the glory hole. And heat it up again, make it soft again. So the glory holes have no glass in them. They're just a hot chamber. So over on the left, Ben in the dark blue shirt is preparing the leaves. He's going to bring it to Gabe in the center. Gabe's going to apply them. Now all glass, when it's hot, looks orange, whether it's red or blue or pink or purple. The orange color you're seeing is the glow from the heat. So I think those leaves are green. But as long as they're hot, they're going to look orange. As they cool down, the glow will go away, and you'll start to see the real color. So now Gabe is heating up the bottom of the decanter, making it soft. He's going to flatten it so it'll sit nicely on the table. He's going to flatten it right down there. He just presses it with that metal paddle. That's called the tag. Next thing we're going to do is transfer the body of the decanter from the rod it's on now to a second steel rod called the punty. Sarah, over on the far left, She's making the punty. The punty's going to act as a temporary handle to hold the decanter from the bottom while we shape the top. So we're going to break it off the pipe it's on now and stick it on the pipe that Sarah has. So hot glass sticks to hot glass. You stick on the punty. When they feel that bond is strong enough, they'll break the glass away from the original pipe. We drip a little water where we want it to break, and a little tap, and off it comes. For those of you who came in a little bit later, we're working on these decanters. We have an annual fundraising event where we make a limited edition of decanters and glasses. We're working on the designs for the decanters. So we're making different colors, different shapes, and then we'll decide which one we like the best, and then we'll make 50 of them. So we made the neck of the decanter earlier this morning. We've been keeping it warm. Now we're about to attach the two together. Sarah, over on the far left, has the neck. Do you guys have any questions? How hot is the glory hole? The glory hole is 2,300 degrees. While we're working at the workbench, the glass is probably between about 1,800 degrees and about 1,300. So as soon as we pull it out, the temperature starts to drop. Don't need it. So here comes Sarah with the neck. She'll heat up the bottom of the neck. Gabe will heat up the top of the decanter body. When we press the two pieces of hot glass together, they'll stick. Drip a little water where we want it to break. We'll tap, and off it comes. Has anybody got any questions? Yes. How long does it take to acquire the skills? Well, there is no fixed amount of time. It's kind of like learning a musical instrument. So hopefully, the longer you do it, the better you get at it. Gabe here in the bright blue shirt has 21 years. Ben, tall guy standing up, he's got 25 years. Ben is the head of our glass shop, tall guy with the beard. But right now, Gabe is leading the team on these decanters. So we're almost done with this. When we make an object like this, we can't just set it on the table and let it cool on its own. If we did that, it would cool too quickly and unevenly, and it would shatter. So we're going to take it off the metal rod and place it in a special oven called the annealing oven, where it will be cooled slowly overnight. Each day we heat up one of our annealing ovens to 920 degrees. We place all the objects we make during the day in there, and then at night we start the cooling process. The annealing ovens have a little computerized thermostat, and it slowly, automatically turns the temperature down to room temperature. Going to blow a little air into the front end to make it a little fuller. So as Gabe in the bright blue shirt puts the finishing touches on this decanter, Ben is starting the parts for the next one over on the left. He's going to make the neck. Once the neck is formed, we'll place it in this oven over here, keep it warm, then we'll blow in the body, then we'll stick the neck up. Do you guys have any questions? You guys have any questions? 2,300 degrees. 2,300. 6.5 times what it takes to cook a turkey. How do we what? How do we heat it? Yes. It's not bad in the winter. It's kind of nasty in the summer. So if you look to your right, Sarah's putting on some protective clothing. Oh no, that's Sayuri is putting on some protective clothing. She's going to carry the finished decanter to our annealing oven. Let it cool down to the point where it's hard. Sayuri has some fireproof gloves on, and she'll carry the decanter to our annealing oven. We'll cool that overnight, and then we'll be able to use it. On the bench on the left, we're making the neck of the decanter. In the center bench, we're making the body of the decanter. So on the left, we're making this. In the center, we're making that. Each time we dip into our big tank of molten glass, it's called taking a gather, G-A-T-H-E-R. We're going to roll it in powdered colored glass. All the glass that's in our furnaces is clear. We buy colored glass in various forms, and we melt it onto our glass. So this case, we're rolling it in powdered colored glass. And then we'll stick it back in the fire. We'll melt that on. And we'll have a thin layer of blue over our clear glass. You guys have any questions? So Gabe is now blowing it into a mold called the pineapple mold, and it gives us the diamond texture on the surface of the decanter. So this sort of diamond texture that you see here. Can we put up the pineapple mold? So if you look up on the big screen, that's the mold that gives us that diamond texture. It doesn't give us the shape. We're making the shape totally by hand. It just impresses that diamond pattern onto the glass. Thank you. Well, we melted blue glass on there, the blue glass that you see sitting in that tray on the steel table. Nope. No, everything looks orange when it's hot. But it's going to return to the same color it was to begin with. Think about your own house. If you have an electric stove, the burners are gray. When you turn them on to cook something, they get hot, they glow orange for a little while. Turn them off, they cool down, they go back to being gray. Glass is the same way. So everything's going to look orange when it's hot, no matter what color it is. As it cools down, the glow will disappear, and you'll see the real color. Just experience. Yeah, he knows. He's been blowing glass for a while, so you have to roll in there a couple of times. When he thinks it's dense enough, then he stops. Yeah, what you're seeing is the is the glow is disappearing, that orange glow. So it looks a little greenish now because it's a mixture of the orange and the blue. When it cools down, it's going to be this blue right here. So we're about to add some leaves to the side of the decanter. Over on the far left, Ben in dark shirt is preparing the glass for the leaves. The leaves are green, but of course it doesn't look green at the moment because it's distorted by the heat. So in the center, Gabe is putting the finishing touches on the tip of the leaf. And over on the far left, Ben, tall guy, is preparing the glass for the next leaf. Hot glass sticks to hot glass. So when we lay those two together, they're attached permanently. Do you guys have any questions? You guys have any questions?
Pretty neat watching this stuff happen.
You guys are really good at it.
Yeah, they look like it too. You gotta be talented to do this sort of stuff.
You gotta work hard.
Yeah.
Get your mind down. Well, 99% hard work, 1% talent. You have to work on that too. People have to coordinate it and get business because they work. So we're heating up the very bottom of the decanter. The torch makes that glass hot and soft. And then we're going to flatten it so it'll sit nicely on the table. So the next thing we're going to do is transfer the body of the decanter from the rod it's on now to a second steel rod called the punty. The second steel rod will act as a handle and hold the decanter from the bottom while we shape the top. Sarah has prepared the punty, Sarah in the gray shirt. You heat up the punty a little bit so it's soft and sticky. You press it against the bottom. When Gabe in the blue shirt feels that that bond is strong enough, he'll break the glass away from the original pipe. He'll drip a little water where he wants it to break, and a little tap, and off it comes. Well, we have two kinds of furnaces. We have the glass furnaces where the molten glass is kept, and those run at 2100 degrees. We have the glory holes, which are the round ones, which are going in and out of. Those are at 2300 degrees. Well, the glass is all different temperatures. So when it comes fresh out of the furnace, it's 2100, but it starts to drop quickly. When we're working at the bench, it's probably between about 1800 and about 1300. So as soon as we pull it out, it starts cooling. So get ready to attach the neck. We made the neck a little earlier. We've been keeping it warm. Now we're going to stick the two parts together. Gabe is heating up the top of the decanter body. Sarah's heating up the bottom of the. Oh, no. So Sarah's got the neck. We're going to press the two together, and they'll be joined forever. So here comes Sarah with the neck of the decanter. Sarah in the gray shirt. You press the two pieces together, and they'll fuse. We'll drip a little water where we want it to break away from the pipe. A little tap, and off it comes. We're trying out different designs for these decanters. We have an annual fundraising event, and each year we design a limited edition decanter in glasses. And so right now we're working on the design. So I think we're going to add a couple of leaves, a couple of more leaves to this decanter. There's two ways in which we heat up the glass. Sometimes we heat it up in the big round oven. Sometimes we heat it up with a torch. When we heat it up with a torch, it allows us to focus the heat in a particular place. Make just that part of the glass extra hot and therefore extra soft. So we can shape one part of the glass without affecting the rest of it. Gabe's going to widen the opening at the top. And trim off a little bit of the thick glass so we have a nice thin edge. Take the raw ingredients of the glass and you cook it up with different metals, and that gives you different colors. So if you cook it up with cobalt, you get blue. Chromium, you get green. A little bit of gold, you get pink. So what we do here, if we're going to make it onto our glass. So I think next we're going to add some more leaves to this decanter. Or maybe a stripe on the top, Noah. I think we're going for the leaf. Sarah's got the glass for the leaf. She brings it to Gabe. Gabe sticks it on, snips it off. It's going to give it a squeeze with those crimps. And attach it to the neck. So in our business, one is a mistake, two is a motif. So we're going to do one on the other side. So we're getting pretty close to being done. When we finish each of these decanters, they have to be cooled off slowly. So we're going to take them off the metal rod, place them in an electric oven called the annealing oven, the big one marked number 4. Each day we heat that oven up to 920 degrees. We place all the objects we make during the day in there, and then at night we start to cool them down slowly. On their own? Quickly they would break. Shatter. Sometimes they just crack, sometimes they'll explode. You never know. It wouldn't survive. So Sayuri, in the green jacket, has put on some Kevlar gloves, and she's going to carry the finished decanter to our annealing oven. When she grabs that decanter, it'll be about 1,000 degrees. At that temperature, the glass is hard. melt the little spot where we broke it off so it's not sharp, and into the annealing oven to cool slowly overnight. No, the pipe was like this. So the bottom is all closed, and the metal pipe attaches on the bottom. You just break it off. There's no hole on that end. So over on the left, Ben, tall guy, is putting the finishing touches on the neck for the next one. We'll put it in that silver oven in the center of the workshop. That's called the garage. That operates about half the temperature of the furnaces. It's hot enough to keep the glass from breaking, but it's not so hot that it makes it soft. So whatever goes in there stays warm, retains its shape. When we're ready to use it, we'll pull it out, heat it up a little extra, and stick the parts together. So if you watch Sarah in the gray shirt, she's dipping her pipe into the molten glass. She's going to roll it in some powdered colored glass. So those bowls are filled with powdered colored glass. Now she's going to melt it on. We're going to add a little gold colored stripe to the bottom of the neck. We call this a wrap. So Gabe is going to start the body of the decanter. He's heating up the tip of his pipe. He's going to dip it in the clear molten glass. Behind that door, there's a big ceramic tank. In that ceramic tank is 1,000 pounds of molten glass. Gabe's going to roll it on that steel table, shape it up into a little cylindrical shape, and then he's going to blow just a one puff of air into the tube, close it up with his thumb, and the heat from the glass itself will blow the first bubble. Here he goes, one puff. He holds it, and magically, air expands, and that's the first bubble. That's the way we start almost every hollow object that we make. He's going to shape that up, let that cool and stiffen a bit, and then he's going to coat it again with more molten glass. So Gabe's going to dip it in again. Each time we dip it into the furnace and coat it with more glass, it's called taking a gather. He's going to roll it in powdered colored glass. The glass in the furnace is clear. The orange color that you're seeing is the glow from the heat. He's coating it with blue powdered glass. And he's going to put it back in the fire and melt that on. We'll shape it up a little. The tool he's shaping it with is called the block, B-L-O-C-K. So we want to have a kind of a diamond pattern like you see here on the surface. So we're going to blow it into a special mold called the pineapple mold. Can we put up the pineapple mold? So the pineapple mold has little points on the inside. We have the stock pineapple slide. Oh, well, maybe there. We call it the pineapple mold because it looks like a pineapple turned inside out. He'll drop the bubble into that pineapple mold, and that'll give it the diamond texture. Here he goes. Drops it in, blows a little, pulls it out. So the mold gives you the texture, but not the final shape. So now we're going to blow it up to its full size and shape. Sayuri, to the left of the workbench, she's the person that's blowing. She's blowing through the steel tube, the blowpipe, as Gabe shapes it. We want these decanters to have a sort of flattened shape. So we're going to heat the glass up, make it soft, and then Ben in dark blue shirt is going to squeeze the glass with those two black paddles. Those two black paddles are made out of cork. Cork is a good material for shaping glass because it doesn't leave any marks. Well, we're making a prototype, and then once we get decided on design, then we'll make big. You guys have any questions? Trying to decide on a design that we're going to use for a limited edition. So we're making one 2 leaves, 4 leaves, one brown, one. Look at all the So we're putting some leaves on the side of these decanters. Sarah over on the far left. She's rolling her glass in powdered colored glass, green, I think. And she'll bring it to Gabe, and Gabe will form the second leaf. Gabe is the man in the bright blue shirt. So we're getting ready to transfer the body from the rod it was originally blown on to a second steel rod called the punty. The punty will act as a temporary handle to hold the decanter from the bottom while we shape the top. We'll drip a little water where we want the glass to break, and then a little tap, and then off it comes. So we're getting ready to attach the neck. We made the neck earlier this morning. It's sitting in that silver oven staying warm. Sarah, in the gray shirt, is heating it up a little extra. And she'll bring it out and we'll attach the two parts together. You guys have any questions? So hot glass sticks to hot glass. So Gabe is going to heat up the top of the decanter body. Sarah is going to heat up the bottom of the neck. We press the two hot pieces together, they'll stick. Sarah's got the neck. Sarah in the gray shirt. Press the two together. They'll stick to each other. And now we'll drip a little water where we want to break it away from the pipe. going to trim off a little bit of the thick glass at the very top. What? Can we put up the pineapple mold just briefly? So if you look up in the big screen, we call it a pineapple mold because it looks like a pineapple turned inside out. We blow it into that, the little prongs make the little diamond-shaped pattern. What? It's a mold, yeah. See, look at it right there. We drop the bubble in there and blow. The little points poke into the bubble and make that pattern. So we do it when it's small and thick, and then we inflate it. We'll be doing it again, so I'll point it out when he does it. So we've used certain glasses that are called reducing glasses. And when we expose them to a very gassy flame, you can see the flame licking out of the round oven. It brings the metallic content of the glass to the surface. It's called reducing. And we'll get a little bit of a metallic sheen. You can see the flames licking out, and you can see the glass in the leaves and the accents becoming more metallic. That's called a reducing glass, and the big bushy flame is called a reducing flame. Now we're going to place the finished decanter in our annealing oven where it'll cool slowly overnight. Each day we heat up that oven to 920 degrees. We place all the objects we make during the day in there, and then at night we cool everything down all at once.
We're gonna change it up.
So when we make a colored object here, we melt colored glass onto our clear glass. We blow a little bubble of clear glass from our furnaces, and then we melt colored glass onto it. We buy our colored glass in the form of these bars. We buy it like an artist buys paint, red, yellow, pink, blue. We blow a bubble of clear from our furnace. We heat up a chunk of the color, and then we melt a layer of colored glass over the clear glass. We then dip that in more clear glass. So what you end up with something that looks colored, but if you cut through it, you would see it's just that one skinny layer. When we're going to make a number of objects, let's say we're going to make, 8 of these glasses, they're all going to have a blue bowl. So what we do is sometimes we'll melt on some blue onto a bubble, make a big long tube out of it, and then we'll cut the tube into little sections. We use each section to make one of the bowls. So that's what he's about to do now, make one of those tubes. Let me see if I can find something to show you. So we're going to cut the tube up into little sections like this. We'll use each section to make one of the goblet bowls, and we'll be blowing the goblets after lunch. So if you look at Gabe in the bright blue shirt, he's dipped his blowpipe, the steel pipe, into the molten glass. It's coated the end. He's going to shape that up and then give it a little puff, just one puff, close it up with his thumb, and the heat from the glass itself will expand the air and blow the first bubble. That's called capping. And that's how we start almost every hollow object that we make. So the glass that Gabe is working with now is clear. It has a little yellow, orangey tinge because it's hot. Sarah, over on the far, oh, yep, Sarah, over on the far left in the gray shirt, brown shorts. She's heating up a chunk of the colored glass. And we're going to melt her colored glass. We're going to put a layer of it on top of Gabe's bubble. This is called a color overlay. So Gabe's sitting at the bench, is letting his bubble cool and stiffen a bit. Sarah's getting her chunk of colored glass really hot and soft and gooey. I'm going to drop a big blob of the colored glass on top of the clear glass. Yes. The furnaces are where we keep the tanks of molten glass. The glory holes are just a hot chamber to heat and soften the glass as we work it. So Gabe has dropped the wad of colored glass on top, and now he's going to push it backwards until it entirely coats the original bubble. Color in glass comes mostly from different metals dissolved in the glass when you cook it up from scratch. Cobalt makes glass blue, chromium makes it green, a little bit of gold makes it pink. It's not always the color that you would expect. Glass is made of three main ingredients: sand, soda ash, and lime. The sand is the bulk of it. It's mostly melted sand. The soda ash is a chemical which lowers the melting temperature of the sand. The lime is calcium carbonate, and that stabilizes the mixture chemically. You put those three things in a big clay pot, cook them overnight at 2300 degrees. That all melts together and makes glass. If you take the sand, soda ash, and lime and cook it up with cobalt, you get blue, chromium green, tin white, manganese purple. You guys have any questions? Okay. Yes. The furnace. Water. Sometimes there's bubbles on the surface of the glass. If you spray cold water in there, you can pop them. So Gabe is blowing a little air on his bubble to kind of hurry it up to cool down. And then we're going to put another layer of clear molten glass over that. So you want the bubble to stiffen a little bit so that when we immerse it in the big tank of molten glass, it doesn't collapse. Hurrying it up and get stiff. Dip it in the tank, it doesn't collapse. Each time we dip it into the big tank of molten glass, it's called taking a gather. Each time we dip it in, we want to round it out, make it nice and even. So Gabe is shaping it with a tool called the block. He spotted a bubble he doesn't want. So he's going to grab it, snip it off. And then he'll round it out again. Does anybody have any questions? That's going to get ground off.
Okay, okay, ground. I was wondering how that was going to be removed, or if it was going to be.
We'll be making these bottles after lunch. We work sometimes with local wineries. They'll fill the bottle with some fancy wine, and we'll sell it at our annual fundraising auction. But we make a handmade bottle. Yeah, well, we had a guest artist who's a ceramicist, Tamia Tahani, and normally she makes these 3D printed ceramics, and we're trying to combine the ceramics with the glass, and they have two different coefficients of expansion, so the glass cracked. Oh yeah, it does look cool, but it wasn't supposed to. Oh yeah, yeah. This wasn't one of them. Oh well, you can like immerse the glass in water, and it crack it, but not all the way through. Then you put it back in the fire and heat it up just enough so that the cracked parts stick together. This? This is another one of Tamia's shapes that she wanted. She was here as our visiting artist for 5 days last week, and yeah, it's one of her things. No, no, this is. Yeah, no, this is the way she wanted it. Once we realized that the glass and the clay were not compatible, then we made stuff completely out of glass for the rest of the residency. Yeah, that's clay. That's all the ones with clay in them cracked. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm not arguing with you. So Gabe's stretching out our tube. And we're going to cut it up into small sections. I'm going to use those sections after lunch to make goblets. Um, well, two things. One, hot glass sticks to hot steel. And before we dipped it into the molten glass, we heated up the tip of the steel rod. The other thing is the the pipe, the end of the pipe is tapered, so the glass wraps around it, so it's not going anywhere. It doesn't melt that quickly. I think you're thinking it melts all at once like ice does. It softens slowly. If he wanted to melt it off the end there, he would have to work at it. You guys have any questions? We make the things that have several parts. We make part number one, make part number two. Use it, pull part number one out, use that the last way.
Okay.
So Gabe's gonna finish off this tube. Then we're gonna cut it up into little sections. As we finish each section, we'll place it in this oven over here called the garage and keep it warm until we're ready to use it this afternoon. Can we put up the furnace diagram and then so that's what the furnace looks like. That's what the furnace looks like. It's got a big ceramic tank with 1,000 pounds of molten glass. Can we put up the glory hole diagram? That's what the glory hole is like. It's just a brick barrel with a gas burner in the side.
So they actually.
And the glory hole is a little hotter, so we can heat things up quickly as we work. Yeah. See, you know everything, all that class? So we stream this to the internet so you can watch it. It's also a good place to take a nap. It gets kind of warm and cozy and a little roar of the furnace. Yeah, there's a guy sitting in that booth. That's Jay. Sitting in front of a bunch of computer screens. He can move the cameras around. Anybody wants to take pictures, we encourage it. So. Making a long colored tube, you're going to cut it up into sections, and then use each of those sections to make the bowl and the foot of the goblet later after lunch. So it's preparatory work. Nope. These are professional. Katie there has 21 years of professional experience. So we do all sorts of things here at the museum. We have guest artists come from all over the world. One of our favorite things to do here is our Kids Design Glass. We have a contest for kids. Any kid can do a drawing. Once a month, we pick one of the drawings and make it out of glass. We make 2 copies, one for the kid to take home and one for the museum collection. If you walk out to the hallway that goes out to our bathrooms, you'll see about 6 or 8 of the Kids Design Glass. We have a little video, show you some of the fun things that we've done with the kids in the past.
It's a baby monster. Pip is a baby monster that loves to smile and laugh, even though He's little and cute. He gives a big cry. Also, Pip loves food, especially bananas. He will eat any speck of food in sight.
Oh, it's amazing. Totally amazing. And especially if the pieces of art go traveling around, other kids will see, oh my gosh, I could do that too. You know, it's not just somebody else that, you know, they did it, you know, I couldn't do that. Absolutely not. Anyone can do this. And I think that's what it shows the kids.
Maybe not everybody can win,
But, and
I think it's gonna stand up there with one of the coolest things that a museum has ever done.
What is it, a cucumber all dressed up for a night on the town? That's pretty ridiculously funny.
The funnest part about this project is how fresh the ideas are coming from the kids who they have no idea of glass blowing techniques, they don't care.
Nobody saw this coming. We'd make one piece and it was given to the family. And then we realized, well, wait a second, there's something more here. We started to get more drawings, more interesting drawings, and it really kind of snowballed a little bit.
Bacon Boy was special. The hat almost looks like a frying pan.
Maybe he's wearing a frying pan.
Bacon. I don't really do any work when they present this bacon.
bacon, baby.
It's mine.
Oh, I see.
How's that for his arm? Fingers?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it really brings it home and really shows that, you know, there's an artist in all of us, I think. So, and it's human nature to be creative. So I think we lose that as we get older sometimes, and it's cool to see this pure creative nature that children possess. So I think it's cool to share that with the rest of the world, hopefully. So.
Thank you for supporting Kids Design Glass.
So if you come here with kids, it's free to enter. Just go into our little arts and crafts room off the lobby. We have crayons and paper and markers. You got to be 12 and under, though.
Really offended. I'm really offended right now. At least 16. Well, that's ageist. I'm bad. They won't know. I draw like a.
I think we're back on the Decanter Trail. thought we were making decanters, but apparently not. Guess it's just going to be a tumbler. So over on the left, Sarah is making the little bubble to start the next one of these big wine bottles. Each time we dip the pipe into the molten glass, only a certain amount sticks. So we blow a little bubble, let it harden, dip it in again a second time, let that harden, dip it in again a third time until we have all the glass we need to make whatever we're making. So it all starts out little and then it gets bigger. Has anybody got any questions? What? Okay, when we start, we do what's called capping. So we blow air into the pipe, close it up with our thumb, and the heat from the glass itself expands the air and blows out the first bubble. So there's not as much huffing and puffing as you see in the movies. If you can blow up a balloon at a birthday party, you have enough lung power to blow glass. I think they're getting that white ready to add some stripes. So over on the left, Sarah in dark blue shirt is letting her bubble cool and stiffen a little bit. And then she's going to coat it again with more clear molten glass. Big tank where we melt it is all clear. You can't throw. Why is the building built in this shape? There are three reasons. Reason number one, it looks really cool. That's probably the most important. Reason number two, the whole building is designed to act like a giant chimney. So there's a natural updraft, just like a chimney in your house, so the hot air rises, goes up and out the top. Reason number three is historical. Along this waterway, before the museum was here, there were a number of sawmills. The sawmills had big cone-shaped metal outbuildings where they burned the waste wood from the sawmills to dry the lumber. If you look up on the big screen, you'll see a picture of that. They were called wigwam burners. When the architect Arthur Erickson, who designed this building, saw the pictures of those, that's what gave him the idea to make the building in this shape. Every once in a while, these steel pipes get hot. When they do, we take them over to that T-shaped trough called the pipe cooler. We lay the metal pipe in the trough and just spray water on it to cool it down.
You don't spray it on the glass. Spray it on the pipe.
Cool. Do you have any questions? Anything you'd like to know? Yes, it certainly has. Would you like to win a piece of glass to take home with you? So here's the deal. You tell me a subject that you like in school. I ask you a question. You get the question right, you get a piece of glass. Does that sound fair? Art? Okay. Could you pass this up to her? Okay. I want you to draw me a monkey. Can you draw a monkey? So you notice that one of the glass blowers is crouched down to the left of the workbench. She's the person that's blowing. She'll blow through the steel pipe, the blowpipe, and inflate the glass while Ben, sitting at the bench, shapes it. Pretty nice. Okay, come down to the stairwell and you'll pick out a piece of glass. Any piece of glass in that bowl. So we're going to add a little kind of random wiggly white stripe. So Gabe standing up has the white glass. And Ben's winding it on. A little abstract pattern. And when we finally blow it up to the full size and shape, you'll see it'll look like that. So we're going to heat that up and melt the white into the surface of the bubble. Do you guys have any questions? So we're going to round it out using a tool called the block. The tool is made out of wood. It's stored in a bucket of water as long as the wood is wet. The tool doesn't burn, nor does it leave any marks as we shape the glass. So we're going to add another layer of clear molten glass. Behind that door, we have a big ceramic tank. In that ceramic tank is 1,000 pounds of clear molten glass. When it comes out, it's going to look orange, but that color you're seeing is the glow from the heat. Shape it up. The tool in Ben's hand is called the block, B-L-O-C-K. Hey Jay, can we play the pony video? So this is how we make the little glass ponies. like learning a musical instrument. Different people take to it at different rates. I'd say after a year you're functional. After 5 years you think you're good. And after 10 years you really aren't. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. What? Oh. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's a Kevlar sleeve. As things get bigger, they generate more heat, and so we want to make ourselves comfortable. We always work in teams, yeah. It's a team sport. Sometimes it's 2 people, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5. Depends on what we're doing. Um, yeah, Gabe and Ben have been working together for almost 16 years. Sarah's been on the team for about 10. Sayuri has, she's been working with us for 2 or 3 years. The gray pad in Ben's hand is just folded up newspaper soaked in water. As long as the newspaper is wet, the paper doesn't burn too much, and it doesn't leave any marks as he shapes the glass. Do you guys have any questions? Thanks for coming in, guys. So now we're going to swing the bubble and let it stretch under its own weight. The glass is soft enough that just pointing it down like that, the bubble will stretch. We're going to roll it on the wet newspaper to straighten out the sides. While we're straightening out the sides, Gabe will hold a wooden paddle across the bottom to make the bottom flat. Does anybody have any questions? Do you guys have any questions? Oh, they just, I don't know, get their sketchbook and think of things. This is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do all sorts of things here. Sometimes we have guest artists come in. When the guest artist comes in, they come up with a design and we make it. Um, these are designed by our team. All sorts of ways. You guys have any questions? What are the paddles for? We use them for two things. We use them to flatten surfaces. We also use them to shield the glass blower's arm from the heat. Yes, sir. Because it's cheap and it works. What? No, it just allows it when we shape it with the newspaper. It doesn't leave any marks, and it's cheap. We get old newspapers. So we're going to crisp up the corners at the bottom of the bottle. Sayuri is holding a wooden paddle across the bottom, while Ben holds the jacks, those metal tongs, against the side. We're trying to make that corner sharper. It's not something glass wants to do willingly, so we have to coax it. Oh, because when he puts his thumb over the end, the glass heats up the air and provides a little back pressure so that when they push it, the thing doesn't collapse.
I was wondering, like, if the hot air was coming back at them or whatever they were trying to blow through.
Theory, but no, it keeps the pressure in there as we press on. Do you guys have any questions? Would the young lady next to you like to win a piece of glass to take home with her? Okay, here's the deal. You tell me a subject that you like in school. I ask you a question. You get the question right, you get a piece of glass. Does that sound fair? Okay, so tell me a subject that you like and tell me what grade you're in. I think you better come down front because I can't hear you. So the next thing we're going to do is transfer the bottle from the rod it was originally blown on to a second steel rod called the punty. This second steel rod is going to act as a handle to, to hold the bottle from the bottom while we shape the top. So over on the far left, Gabe is preparing the second steel rod called the punty, P-U-N-T-Y. He's coating the end of that steel rod with a little bit of molten glass. We'll stick it on the bottom, and it'll act as a handle. When we're ready to remove the glass from the original rod, we'll take a pair of tweezers, dip them in water. We'll drip a little water where we want it to break. The cold water will hit the hot glass, make a little crack, tap on the pipe, and the crack will follow the little notch. He's now scratching a circle on the bottom so we can see where the center is. It's hard when you're looking around there to see exactly where the center is. He's making a little notch in the punty so he has a place we can break it off. When Ben feels that the glass is stiff enough to bear the weight of the bottle, then we'll break it off. You can, every once in a while, you can see Gabe in the bright blue shirt wiggling it. He's testing how stiff the connection is. Here we go, we drip the water onto the spot where we want it to break. Give it a tap, and off it goes. So now it's held from the bottom. We can shape the top. Let me see if we have the video. Jay? Well, okay. We'll just the machine that we grind it with is called the glass lathe. It's got a motor and a big spindle, and mounted on the spindle is an abrasive wheel. And if you look below the glass lathe, you can see as we press the glass against those abrasive wheels, it carves into it. So we'll use the glass lathe to carve away this extra glass here. It happens after the glass is cooled down. Thank you, Jay. Thermostat that just slowly turns it down. Oh. We're stretching out the neck. We flared the top of the bottle, so we have a little flange that we can grab, and he's pulling on that flange. Once he gets it stretched out enough, then we'll chop that part off. Shielding the glass blower's arms from the heat. You guys have any questions? No. Thank you. You guys have any questions? We're making a large wine bottle, like you see there, and we're going to work with a winery. They're going to fill it up with fancy wine, and we're going to sell it at our annual fundraising event in September.
Yeah, I was surprised they took the end off.
Yeah, that little flange was just to have something to grab onto to stretch it.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
So we're going to widen the opening a little bit. Yes. Once you see the doors closed or the glass turn, those have molten glass. L'Oreal's have no molten glass. Yes, sir.
They make it here. Are they considered art or functional or both?
It's all in the eye of the beholder.
Okay. So it's either and both.
Yeah, we make functional things, we make weird sculptural things. We do all over the map. Now, there are other people who consider us artists. That's for them to decide.
Gotcha.
You guys have any questions? So Sarah's blowing in the front end with a tool called the Sofietto. She sticks that cone shape into the opening, that makes a seal, and then she blows through the central tube. which I think they're trying to make the shoulder of the bottle a little bit fuller.
More fuller.
So as Ben is putting the finishing touches on the neck of the bottle, his assistants are holding wooden paddles in front of his arm to shield him from the heat. Sarah's also holding a wooden paddle across the top. Make sure it's nice and flat. So this is pretty much done. We can't just set it on the table and let it cool on its own. If we did that, it would cool too quickly and unevenly, and it would shatter. So we're going to take it off the metal rod, place it in a special oven called the annealing oven, where it'll be cooled slowly overnight. If you look to the right, you'll see Sarah has put on a green jacket and some yellow gloves. The yellow gloves are made out of Kevlar. Kevlar is a heat-resistant material. When she grabs that bottle, it'll be about 1,000 degrees. When we're ready to remove it, we'll take a pair of tweezers, dip them in water, drip a little water on the joint between the metal rod and the bottle itself. The water will crack the glass, and then just a light tap will release it. So here we go. We take the tweezers, dip them in water, drip a little water where we want the glass to break, and then a little tap, off it comes, and into our annealing oven. So let's have a big hand for the Museum of Glass Hot Shop team, Ben Cobb, Sarah Gilbert, and Gabe Feeney, and Sayuri Fukuda. So that concludes our demonstrations for this morning. We're going to take an hour lunch. We'll be back in an hour. If anybody has any questions before I go. Yes? It took about an hour. You guys have any questions before I go?